That is number one. Number two, if by crying you lower your ego, because now it goes back to ego, because you're saying the community will view you as a weaker man and all that. If by crying you will lower your ego, then you were not a man to start with. Because if your ego and your strongness it's held up by what you do and how you react to situation, then you did not have it to start with. So my point is, if a man can express the happy side of him, then he should be able to express the sad part of him. It does not mean crying, like, waiting and doing it all over the place. You can shed a tear in a manly way. You can shed a tear, especially when, like what Sir Lancelot was saying, when an irreversible damage has happened. When you lose a very close family member, that does not mean you will see them again. It will be irreversible. But when you are broke, when there is some things that you can fix, then don't cry. Go fix them as a man. But when something that you cannot is beyond your power happens, then it is important that we understand the same place that laughter comes from is the same place that anger and all that comes from. And to release it, it might need a tear to be shed. Just the same way, after you take your water and is processed, you will release it as urine. Is a process. The same way you are psychologically, you will be angry, and to release it, a tear will be shed. It does not mean that you start crying and having this bitterness and beating up things. That kind of foolish crying. No, just as a process is in happiness. It is in sadness.
So John, a tear will be shed, but this is just according to you. To somebody else, it could be 2 tears. To somebody else, it could be a full tantrum.
No, that is where the validity comes from. Because now you might stand to be dramatic. No, it's not crying.
Now, how do we know what is dramatic and what is not? What is manipulative? What is not? Yet we are teaching our kids to be strong, because we are telling them crying is for when you are a child, when you can't express yourself. But now that you can express yourself,
on the things, as I have said, on the things that can be fixed, fix them. Don't cry. But on the things like death, at least you should be able to, as somebody was saying, just walk away, go somewhere in solitude, shed a tear. You don't have to take 10 minutes crying or shedding tear. It's just a process. The same way.
How many minutes? How many minutes are you crying?
Okay, that should not be answered by me, but at least a reasonable time of 3 minutes is enough for you to release your emotion.
So 3 minutes, and this is 3 minutes for a death of a parent. What about death of a child? How many minutes? And how loud can you be? How many decibels are we talking? And what action can you do while you're crying? Because again, it has to have its own razzmatazz.
Just the same way you just sit alone in solitude somewhere and wipe your eyes, because I said it's a process. Just like the same way, like the same way you go and urinate, is the same way. Just wipe your tears, get back to everything. Stand beside your wife, let her now cry on your shoulder. But first, wipe your tears the same way you can wipe your nose.
So why wipe my tears if it's not a bad thing? If it's a good thing, then I should be able to cry in front of everybody with mucus flowing down my nose.
Exactly. Yes. That is now dramatic.
Yes,
why do you have to?
But I'm crying. Crying has no formula.
That is where the validity now comes from. There is a difference between being dramatic and acting funny and crying. You can shed a tear when you're standing before me, and I won't even notice. You just take out your handkerchief, wipe your eyes diligently, and go on. So you don't have to start clapping and wailing.
Why do I have to do it gently if it is a genuine tear? My point here is this: who decides how far we can go with this crying nonsense? Because we are teaching the boys something here. What are we teaching them? Are we teaching them that it is okay to break down and lose control and go into your emotions, or are we teaching them to overcome? Which is a better scenario for the boy if he's whenever he encounters a problem, is to deal with it?
You see, when Sir Lancelot was pulled aside by the granny and told him not to cry after the funeral, or during the funeral, he fainted. So, however much we want to take this situation under control, we must know there is some suppression of emotion that we are doing, which does not walk away. It is going to be a burden to the boy even as we go on, and he might release it in another way. He might even do a more worse thing than crying, than appearing weak to the society. There's something more than appearing weak to the society. You can even do worse than appear weak in the society. But as we suppress these emotions, are we giving them a way out? A way out is, as a man, you can go, sit alone, gently wipe your eyes, because it's an emotion that you cannot suppress, and come back like nothing happened.
All right, hold up, John. I want to hear from who's this AM. Then I'll come to your gift. AM, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Kibe. What's up?
Go ahead.
Okay, back when I was having conversation with Lancelot, I said at the age of 12, I lost my dad, and I didn't cry. Yes, I didn't cry. Not that I was that strong to handle the pain at the time, but I remember what I knew at that age is I have to pray for him. Dad has just died, so what to do is just pray for him and cry for the women, because in my tradition, when someone dies, when the report are officially brought to the family, and all the family things have already taken care there. So what is happened there is this: all the men now leave the place, leave that family, and the woman of the neighbor woman there gathered together. Then they started crying, loudly screaming, But the time all the men leave the place. So when I was young, I learned this type of thing from my cultural practice, because I see there all the men there leave, and who are crying are the women. So why should I cry? I am a man also. You see what I mean?
I see you. I see what you mean.
Because I had Tato, when Tato was speaking. He said I took some of bullshit. So I tried to tell you what exactly happened there and what I learned from that practice. Because I learned that a man should not cry
at all.
Because all who left there, the family are the women, and are the one who are mourning there loudly. And because I was a boy, I was standing. Let me just tell you how it was when the news was brought there at the home. It was a night. I was standing in the sitting room, and I heard some elders some elders knocking door there, and they was talking to my mom, and I heard directly telling my mom that your husband has passed away. So I know shit. And as the women given this information, how they react, I heard mom how she reacted. So I opened the door. I opened the other door with my brothers and the car, and going first to that elders to listen to them, and they calmed us down there, and they also told us what really happened. By the time my mom she's inside there crying, and I see all the men out here, they are serious, trying to take care of that family things, make things in order, So I learned there, this how men should operate. So cry doesn't help anything. That's all I wanted to say, Kibe.
All right, thank you. AM crying doesn't help. Yeah, especially when there's something to be sorted, bro. Things need to be sorted. And who's going to sort them? The person crying or the person who is able to overcome that? Because men are just one quick one more quick, Kibe. I think that we have to accept that men are just have to take responsibility and they sort things out, and not the other way around. Crying have nothing to do with the man. When a man starts to cry, you became a loser. All right. That's all. Thank you. AM has made it very clear that Thato and who else? Wasike and John W. He says you guys are losers directly. Let's hear from a lady, then I'll come to you, Kay Santino, Gift, Daryl, and Wasike. Mariam, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, Kibe. Good morning, Mark Duke.
What's up?
What's up? I think crying is, in some instances, it's okay and it's normal for men to cry.
It's normal for men to cry?
For example, yeah, it's okay.
It's normal?
It is normal for a man to cry in some instances. I don't
what could have happened that the man is crying? What is that?
Like Kibe, if God forbid you lost your child, you will cry.
I don't know.
You will.
I don't know.
I can assure you, you will.
I've been to Mary Stops,
in as much as you think
Mary Stops many times.
What?
I've been to Mary Stops a couple of times. I did not shed a tear.
No, there are people who are very personal to you and they mean something to you, and you will definitely shed a tear. And it's not a sign of weakness.
It's a sign of what?
It's a way of the body, your mind soothing itself. The tears. There's a reason why God gave tears to both men and women. The tear glands. There's a reason why you have that.
It's a way of what? How am I dealing with this? That my body has completely been overtaken by events to a point where I'm crying. What's going on?
That's how we were created. It's a way that other people used to
it's for children. It's not for grown-ups. It's for children.
No, Kibe. If it was only for children, the tear glands would have disappeared at puberty.
But it's the same thing like anger. At some point, aren't you supposed to be able to control your anger?
Oh, yes. You're supposed to.
And if you don't control your anger, what do we do with you?
No, Kibe, it does not mean that, that you're not capable of being angry.
If you don't control your anger, what happens to you?
You can get in trouble. Yeah?
We throw you inside a place called a prison.
Yes, you get in trouble for being angry, but
for not being angry, for not being able to control your anger.
To control the anger.
Yes. So you can be as angry as you want, but you must be able to control it. Otherwise, if you cannot control your anger, then you're no good to us.
But you see, even crying, you don't have to cry like a bitch, just cry like the whole world has ended or I don't know what. No, but you can actually have those tears just streaming down your eyes or whatever, and it's okay to have tears coming. It's okay.
Mariam, have you ever been at a funeral? Let's put it that way.
Yes, many. Several.
So the guy who's crying and the guy who is not crying, who is more valuable at that funeral?
Both of them are equally valuable.
Now, the guy who's crying has to be sorted. People have to give him tissues, and he cannot even carry. He cannot even carry the cask because he's crying. He's overtaken by events. He's just crying. He's of no use.
No,
but there's going to be this strong guy who's not crying, who's stoic, and he's standing strong, and he's going to carry he's going to hold the people together. He's going to carry the casket when he is needed to. He's going to get the shovel and put as much soil inside there as he can. He's going to make sure everybody has been sorted, the transport is taken care of. That's the guy you want. You don't want the crying bitch who has been crying about his relative having died for the last 2 hours. You want the guy who's sorting out issues, right?
How many men have we seen crying and carrying the casket at the same time?
I've never seen that. It's not a Kikuyu thing.
I have seen it. I'm a Kikuyu.
Which Kikuyu from Nyeri?
You can see them, what?
You can see them doing what?
You can see them walking down that road to the grave or whatever, and you can see the tears rolling down their faces. But it's okay.
As they're wailing.
It doesn't mean they're weak.
No, it is a weak sign of weakness for men because men were supposed to overcome.
Yes, but overcoming doesn't mean that you don't cry. Overcoming means that you don't sit in a corner having self-pity.
Yeah, but how can you
wanting people to?
But how can you call it overcoming if you cannot overcome? The word overcome means that I'm able to deal with this internally. I have overcome.
No, Kibe, come on. No.
Yes, that's what it means. I cannot be showing, like now, if I'm going to overcome pain in any way, I have to learn how to deal with it.
Yes.
That's what we're saying. That this thing, it doesn't matter how emotional it is to other people, that you have a better mechanism of dealing with it.
So, Kibe, when you're feeling pain and you twitch, maybe something happens to your leg and you twitch, is that a sign of weakness?
Is it the first time that that's happening? There are many factors to consider.
No, because you twitching, crying, same thing.
No, crying is when you've become overwhelmed. This is when you're out of control, that you are no longer in control. And a man should not be out of control.
To you is crying
do you know there's a time if you got too drunk, the men themselves, now this was a man to man, the men themselves would reprimand you and tell you, hey, what are you doing? We know it's your money and everything, but you cannot behave like this. It's very unmanly to behave like this because everything is within moderation.
But Kibe, who set the standards on how to be manly and how not to be manly? There are people who believe that beating a woman is being manly, but you don't believe in beating women.
No,
so who set the standard?
That is based on purpose. What are we supposed to do? What good are your tears?
No. What I'm asking you is who set the standards of whether it's unmanly to cry?
Okay, I'm asking you the question. We need to build KICC, okay?
Okay.
And you are presenting me with tears. What good are those tears?
No.
I'm telling you, we need to build this thing within 6 months. Your tears ridiculous. Have no value here. They add nothing. So
that is ridiculous. That's why I told you that there's some instances where I would not expect a man to cry. For example, we don't have food in the house. You can't start crying with me. For example, you're hungry. You can't start crying. For example, you've been dumped. You can't start crying. But there are instances where you will definitely break down and cry. For example, perfect example, if you lose a child.
Or
maybe sometimes if you lose a spouse. Or sometimes
if you let your imagination run rampant. That's when you go into this you become this emotional bitch because you have allowed your imagination to go continuously without being stopped.
What do you mean by imagination we're talking about death here. What do you mean by imagination?
Let me give you an example that used to happen a long time ago. Maybe you used to, if you've watched the old movies, there's a point where a woman would be talking and he's completely hysterical, and there would be a man there to just give her as a backhand just to get her back, on the right track, just to reset her.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Before we became too politically correct?
Yes.
Yes, because women were known to go too much into their imagination. So a backhand would bring her back from her imagination, because the imagination can take you anywhere. Right?
Imagination or emotion?
So the backhand would bring you back and tell you, hey, Mariam, you're going too far. Come back here. Come back to real life. So when you allow people to go into their imagination, that's when now they start remembering, the mother used to carry them when they were kids, and they made all these promises and all this lost potential and this and that. And before long, you're here crying like a little bitch. That's what crying is about. I don't agree with you. You don't agree?
No. No, I don't agree with that.
So you don't agree with my argument, or you don't agree that?
I don't agree with your argument.
Which is what?
Crying is not about imagination. It's not about your imagination running wild.
Yeah, but crying is your mind making a mountain out of a molehill. That's what crying is. Because when you encounter real life situations, crying is the last thing on your mind. Like now, if you're walking up a hill and then you meet with a lion, so the first thing to do is not to cry. So why is crying not part of the solutions provided? The drop-down menu.
Sometimes people. Okay, we're talking about pain. Forget people cry for very stupid reasons sometimes, yeah? Mm-hmm. Especially when you're able to solve an issue. But sometimes when something is out of your control, and I'm going back to death, it's out of your control. You're not able to do anything to bring this person back. And you have the memories, and you have there's so much that goes on in someone's head.
It is out of you are still in control of yourself. So you cannot say it's out of control.
It is out of control because you're not able to fix this situation.
No, but
you see,
but the situation is happening within you. You can fix it if it's happening within you. Somebody has died, yes, but how you're feeling it inside you. So why not fix that feeling?
The only way to process it is through crying.
But that's because you're thinking like a woman. For men, we can take that situation and crash it.
Not all men. Not all men are wired the same. The same with women.
Thank you. Now, if a man is unable to crash it, then he is not a man. That's what we are saying.
But who set those standards?
What? Sorry?
Who set those standards? Who said that? Who said this? Where did it come from? These are your thoughts. This is you. This is what you are, and you've become very cold and detached because of some reasons. Maybe it has to do with your experiences.
But Mariam, if you look at the playground, let's go to the playground, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Me, who's cold and detached because of those experiences, I look at the playground, and the playground operates exactly the same way. The playground has no feelings. Yeah, so why are we converting and become grown up, and then we pick up all these feelings? The playground has no feelings.
I swear, it's so hard to argue with you. But the bottom line is it's okay and it's natural and it's normal for a man to shed tears.
All right. Thank you, Mariam. Thank you. I don't know whether somebody wants to jump into this one. Kay Santino, are you there? Kay Santino, or let's hear from Kay Santino. Is he there? Kay Santino?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, I'm there. Hey. Sorry. I have a problem. I'm using my AirPods and I forgot where I put my phone. It's one of those situations. God damn.
When are you going to get when are you going to get organized, bro? You know, it's very unmanly to be disorganized the way you are.
I'm multitasking. Okay, I'm doing this. I'm actually got a chance to work from home, so I'm doing a lot of stuff on the computer and everywhere. But I've been listening from earlier. Oh my God. The crying situation. I thought that love situation was bad, but this is something else. A whole God new level. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me talk about crying. My thing on crying. Crying is what's we got men, we got boys. Crying itself is what separates the boys from the men. Men are not supposed to cry. I do not. I meant when you're like some people, the time when they cry is when they're born, so they can get air in their body. That's why they're crying. But to cry all your life, and this guy, 3 damn days of crying. Oh my God. I was listening to that. Him and the girl cried. Didn't anybody dehydrate? I think even physically, it's not possible to cry for 3 days. And it brought the full phrase of cry me into river into something else. I think anyway. Let me give a good example because a lot of people are going to be coming after me like, why do you say, oh, we're supposed to be allowed to cry, la la. I think crying it can. We are human. We can cry. That makes sense. We have eyes. Yada yada, we have it, but that does not mean it's the right solution. And let's put it in a simple situation. Let's say your clothes are on fire. The emotional thing for a lot of people do, they start running. They start running, and to their surprise, the fire is getting closer. It's getting bigger. It's getting bigger, and that's acting out of emotion. If you are to man up and know and use the knowledge you have in your head, you're supposed to find a way to kill the oxygen from the fire. You're not supposed to panic. You're supposed to stop, drop, and roll or something. Now going back to the situation of the crying in general with, like, say someone passes away or something happens bad in your life, you lose your job, or God knows what other reason you're going to invent and find crying the outlet. The women will always come and say, oh, go cry. It's a way. And don't do it in public. Go and hide and cry. I've heard that too. It happened to me. One of the exes that probably belongs to an ex told me, oh my God, you're angry. You have to cry. A lot of people have ways to deal with the situation. A lot of people have different ways to mourn. I know some people go and talk to the grave. Some people go and do a lot of things. But just because you have eyes does not mean you need to use them to cry. You can use your eyes and your body to do other things. You can actually man up. For me, like now lately, especially we just came out of COVID. A lot of people passed away for various reasons. And one of the first things I did to any man that I knew, any of my men friends, I would text them, you need to be strong for your family, because I know he's going through a lot of emotions. Because I said that because I was afraid that this man is going to start crying, and then the woman started crying, and then it'd be like an endless, because crying is contagious. If men are crying in a situation, what the hell is everyone else going to do? Then there's the kids, there's the other women, there's the girls. What are they going to do? It's just a crying fest. We don't need crying fest. That doesn't solve anything. And that's my submission. Yes, you have eyes. You can cry, but I'm saying you can be a man and act in an appropriate way for the situation. Yes, you can feel sad. I didn't say it's wrong to feel sad, but you can deal with it. Go to the gym and also be strong for the rest of the people around you. You do not need to create that chaos of contagious crying, everyone crying in the room for hours and hours and hours and hours. I don't see that being a solution. That's my submission. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Kay Santino. Duchess, are you here?
I'm here, Andrew. Hi, everyone, and greetings to the son of the soil. You're making us proud over there.
Are we talking about Makduk here?
Yeah, he's the son of the soil.
Makduk is a
I wanted to grab Andrew. I wanted to grab the mic the other day when he was co-hosting, and Ali came on, and he started making all these jokes that you guys like to make about him and being sarcastic towards him. And I wanted to grab the mic and say, Magduke, don't forget your root. You are from South Africa. In South Africa, there is Ubuntu, and you need to show Ali Ubuntu, not to do what these Kenyans are doing, you know.
What is wrong with us Kenyans?
No, I mean, I'm just talking about the way you guys treat Ali whenever he comes to make the submissions. You guys are always hard on him, you know. It's like his lived experiences are not really real, you know. So
you had to look for your own Makduk and reining me in and tell him, do not behave.
Yeah, I wanted to remind him that, hey, you must take some of those South African values with you when you are co-hosting the space, But anyway.
Magnook is in trouble.
You guys.
So you as a woman,
you're not going to turn against him, eh? You're not going to turn against him because that's how we're feeling. Yeah?
That's it. So yes. you as the women cannot allow your men just to flourish. You have to go and interrupt their lives, the way you wanted to interrupt Magnook's life.
No, I'm not. That's why I started by saying we are proud of him. He's the son of the soil.
Yeah, but Why did you want to interrupt his life by telling him how to behave?
But you taught him to behave in this particular manner of responding to Ali in a particular way, and he's also falling in that trap. So yeah, we thought that I think most of us from South Africa would feel that, he would have shown you guys what Ubuntu means and how do we speak to people and apply the principle of Ubuntu.
What is Ubuntu? What is Ubuntu?
It's being human.
But you guys don't know what that means? How would you teach it?
How would we what?
You don't know what it is. How would you teach it?
Well, I mean, what do you mean we don't know what it is? We came up with the term. I know. We have named it.
I know you know xenophobia, but you don't know Ubuntu?
No, not everyone knows xenophobia. If you look in the old dictionaries, xenophobia was not there. So there are just certain few individuals who believe in that and who are doing that. So it doesn't apply to all South Africans. But Ubuntu, it's something that we practice everywhere we go. It's a known character of South Africans. Ubuntu.
Does it also coincide with the one for where the women walk, topless? Is it the same thing?
Which one is that, Andrew?
You don't know the one where the women just walk topless and then there's a king and his friends and they pick the girls that he wants?
That's also our tradition and we take pride in it.
It's a beautiful tradition. The only thing I don't like about that tradition is when the old women think they can walk around the same way like the young ones. Can we have a stop to that? You can't just be enjoying nice young tits and then old mother, almost 90, walking around without a top. What's that? That's terrorism.
Andrew, you need to know that women, regardless of how old they are, they still want to live. Even at 50, there's nothing wrong with trying to live. Even if we won't get what we want, but there's nothing wrong in trying to live.
But can you cover up at least when you're walking? Cover that shit. Nobody wants to see it. Maybe we wanted to see it 30 years ago, but not now. Yeah.
But if we cover up, it means we are changing our traditions, and we will become confused, and we will be coming to these spaces like today here and saying that it's okay for men to cry and that men should cry. It's because we're deviating from things that have been practiced from generation to generation. So even as if we are to change that particular tradition of women dressing in a particular manner, it means that we will be deviating and we will be wanting to adopt something which is completely uncultural or untraditional, if there's such a word.
No, we can anyway, we can tweak some of these traditions.
I think Andrew, in your heart of hearts.
That's just hold up. And this guy called Tato, you know Tato?
Yes, I've heard him speak lately a few times.
Yeah, Tato was here being weak, saying that South African men are crying all over the place.
Yeah, well, that is not South African. It's so un-South African. I think you heard him. He said he's in the UAE. I think he adopted some culture from that country. It's not South African. It's not what we know. But Andrew, I get a feeling that you would really want us to invite you to this dance one of the days, so you can come and sit with the kings and the chiefs and also pick a young one.
Yes. And not pick, I would pick maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think that is also allowed,
Yeah.
That's also allowed.
I know some of these families would benefit a lot from my resources. I would be sending some dollars to South Africa every now and then.
Yeah, that will be Duke. We must plan that. We must arrange that and make it happen. So, but anyway, the reason why I took the mic was to challenge this whole notion that it's okay for men to cry. I don't know who is teaching us all these things, because in terms of my understanding of, or in fact, before I go to that point, I want to say something in relation to what Grace said earlier on about men having the tear duct and everyone else. But for me, the key issue is not even about men having those ducts. It's how these ducts operates in both sexes. Because if you look at when we grow up as children, or when children are born, both men and girls and boys, they would have breasts, and when they grow up, some of this, with the women, the breast will grow because it's because of the hormones that they have within them. And for men, they won't grow. But funny enough, you will also find that there will be a small percentage of men who also have breasts, and they will grow. When they get older, they will grow, and they become visible. And doctors tell us that the minute that thing happens, it shows some hormonal imbalance. So it can never be correct for us to be thinking that crying for men it's normal. It's an indication that there is some sort of hormonal imbalances. And if you look at the character of most men who are saying that it's okay for men to cry, they've got this some sort of feminine energy within them. You can even hear when they speak that, they've got a very big softer side of them than the manly side. I mean, honestly speaking, men were created long before books were written, long before the subject called psychology that we like to quote was ever there. And even at that time, men knew how to handle things without having to read from books. They knew at that time. They were not even told by anyone that as a man, you cannot be crying like a woman. Because when I cry as a woman, I cry to make myself feel better. Regardless of what the situation is, regardless of what the dilemma is, I'm not looking for a solution. And in fact, if you do read some of the psychology books, they will tell you that if you are a man and you have a woman with you and she is crying, don't go there to offer solutions, because that's not what she wants. But when you look at a man, the first instinct in a problem or in a crisis is to find a solution and not to cry. So now we are coming here and we are saying our men should cry because all these things, they are building up or blocking their emotions within them. What happened to those great men who lived before this new generation that is being taught that just because it's okay for women to cry, it is also okay for a man to cry? I mean, we come here, we teach you that it's okay to cry. And by the way, most people who are pushing that agenda is not men, it's women. We tell you it's okay to cry. And you follow in the same line. And you know what you do in return? In return, you say, no, it is okay to cry for us as men, but we do not have to do it for so long. We don't have to do it too much. So now you're becoming to make a measure in terms of an emotion that is forced within you. No one teaches another human being how to cry. No one teaches another human being how to show their emotions. But for women, in terms of crying, it comes naturally. The fact that it does not come naturally to a man, it should tell you something. It should tell you that this is not what you are intended to do. And for us as women, when we are being regarded as the weaker sex, which is quite correct, we look to you for a lot of things. We look to you for strength. We look to you for protection, for encouragement, for all these things. So if I see you crying all the time, how am I supposed to respond towards you the next time? Because I'll also be scared to come and tell you my problems. Otherwise, you are going to join me in the crying. And we will be like that other guy who cried with the girlfriend for those many days, you know. Me, if I go to my friends, ne, and I've got issues, we cry together. We can cry together, and not with the intention of not getting any solution whatsoever. We will cry and feel better about it, and thereafter we will laugh about the fact that we were crying. But can you imagine if now you are my man and I am crying and you are also crying because you are trying to be to show solidarity to me? It's not going to help us. It is definitely not going to help us. For most women, I'm not saying all, for most women, seeing a man crying, it's very much unattractive. It's something that we don't really want to see. We want to see that strength in you. It's like, it's like when you've got small children, they look up to you for a lot of things. They look up to you that you are their superhero. And the day they start to see you crying, they will just be as confused. Because I'm sure even when they go out to meet their friends, they brag about how strong you are as their father, how you protect them, how you can take on anything that comes. But the minute they see you breaking down, they begin to see a completely different picture. And the message that you are sending to them is that you are on your own. Don't count on me. So, guys, please don't listen to these people. They've read so many psychology books, and those books were written long after men were created or human beings were created. Don't be forced into doing all these things. You see, and even people who come into you and saying that, what did I want to say now? I think I'm losing my train of thought. But the ones who are using biology to make the argument, there has to be an understanding that even as we are born having features that look like breasts, when we get older, those breasts have a completely different use from the one that a man would have and the one that a woman would have. The same with those ducts. The same with the eyes. I heard people saying that maybe we have because we have eyes. So for me, Andrew, I don't believe that men should be crying like babies. Now you have to put a measure. The next thing we will be expecting to cry just like us. If we have to cry for days in and out, we will be telling you that, no, your crying is not enough. You have to do even better. So men should really go back to being men and lead us as we're looking so much from them and expecting so much from them. That's my submission, Gibe.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Duchess. Duchess.
Kibe, can I ask her a question? I know it's out of turn.
Just 1 second. One second, K. Santino. Let's hear from Gift, then I'll come to you. I promise you. I'll come to you. Gift, go ahead.
Yes. I usually say a ship in harbor is usually safe, but that's not what ships are built for. I'm sure, Kibe, you've watched this movie, We Were Soldiers. You remember it?
Yeah.
By Mel Gibson.
Mm.
And there was a certain part in the movie where he had to take young soldiers to the war. And then while he came back, because most of them had died, since he was the leader of his platoon, he had to go knock at every single door of the family members of the soldiers just to tell them that their kids had died or their husbands. And when that happened, he never cried. He never cried at all. He had to stay strong just because he had to play a part. I believe that when it comes to death, mostly in the African society, most of the kids, while kids were growing up, they were always being prepared. Their parents, their grandparents would sit them down and tell them, you know what? One day I'll not be here. So you're the one who needs to take over. But in the current generation, most of our parents don't even prepare us for such things because we believe that our parents are supposed to live for eternity. That's why by the time it hits most of us, it's like you lose conscience. So if today something was to happen to my dad, to be honest, I'm not going to cry because he's already prepared me. He's told me one day I'll be gone. I already know this man, one day he'll be gone. And that is the problem. So for those people who are saying that you need to cry, tears don't solve anything. They will never solve anything. Because if you cry, what next? Since tears will not solve anything, why not just skip that part and get to the solution? If there's something you can solve, then solve it. If it's something you can't solve, then forget about it. Let nature take its course. We are just being dominated by a bunch of emotional men who feel like every single thing in life requires an emotion attached to it, which is a lie, because we've all been told you're the greatest in this world. You can achieve every single thing that you want. You can do these things. Nobody has told you life is full of failures. You win less, you lose more. But that's life. So all these men who are coming here trying to inform other men that crying is okay, it's not. It will never be okay.
Thank you, Gift. Andrew, let me give you a stretch break. I thought the electricity is going to go, but to my surprise, the devil hasn't collected us yet. So yeah, let's have this show. Let's have this wonderful show. The criers will cry and the stoic will be stoic. Thank you so much, Gift, for the submission. And I really do believe that young boys should be taught that things are going to happen, that we eventually are going to lose our mothers, we eventually are going to lose our fathers, but things are going to happen. And we cannot change how, the trajectory of the situation would go. But one thing should remain, that we should always be strong and we should avoid crying at all costs, because at the end of the day, a solution has to come. And crying won't really benefit us as young men and so on. So thank you so much, Gift, for that submission. And Duchess, to that Ubuntu thing, Ali is puny. He's irresistibly puny. So also, if you were on my situation, if you were in my shoes, you'd actually throw a shot at Ali, because he's so irresistibly puny. I mean, you cannot resist yourself from taking a shot at Ali. So Ubuntu does not work in this situation. Thank you so much for your sentiments, though. And you really kicked up some good facts that why do we need men to cry? What happened to all those strong men, those powerful and stoic men? Are we from a generation of those men? Are we their spawn? What happened to those strong men? I have a few people on here. Gentlemen, if you are done with your submission, lower yourself to the listeners so that we can give other men chance to speak. And let me refresh like I normally refresh. If you look at your bottom left, if you look at your bottom right, there's a chat. This is where we interact. Next to the chat, it's a scissor. And I've seen most of you use this scissor effect quite a lot, and I really appreciate. So click the scissor. It's going to give you a 30-second version of the space based on what the speaker has said, so that we can give the message to other people who are outside the space. So I'm going to start with KKA. KKA.
Okay.
KKA. Yes, sir. How are you?
Right. I'm right here.
Are you a fighter or a crier?
I don't support crying in any way. Because I see it as a lose-lose situation. Such that, for example, if you are maybe crying for let's say the loss of someone close, in the end you'll find that there is a closer community that as a man expect you to be strong for them.
Mhm.
Now when you cry, in the end you'll find out that those people now they will see you as not somehow reliable emotionally or as someone who is unstable. And in the end you'll also feel that you have let them down. And I see these situations are beyond crying. You can do something more than crying. If you are overwhelmed in let's say in stress, in emotions, there are things that you can do which are beyond crying. There was a time, if some of you happen to know a tea factory. A tea factory uses firewood to build the tea. Some time back, when I was in campus during the holidays, I was employed there, and we would go very, very deep in the forest using a tractor to fetch the firewood. And the logs were so heavy. And I started regretting. I started asking myself, this job is not for me. I'm someone in a campus somewhere from a university. And then that being emotional, you know what it led to? It led to myself when I was lifting a log. I hit my small finger and it almost broke. You see? And those are the moments I feel that if you are not strong, for example, in that moment I found out that I was not strong for myself. This is just a passing cloud. If you are not strong for yourself, you'll find yourself in such a situation. You are losing something. And finally, if you are strong, if you do not cry, if you do not succumb to the emotion, if you do not succumb to the tears, you will find that it is worth it. That is my submission. Thank you.
Thank you so much. KKA says that if you do not succumb and submit to the emotion, you would find out that it's worth it. And men clearly, crying to a man is as useless as a stethoscope to a dermatologist. A dermatologist is a doctor, a dentist is a doctor, a physician is a doctor, but they don't use stethoscopes. And crying to a man is as useless as a stethoscope it is to a dermatologist. We don't need it. We don't need it. It does not come with any benefit. It does not solve any problem. And when a man is strong, it also just shows how he has embraced aloneness, and how he has embraced strength, and how he has embraced his ability to solve problems. I remember last year when I lost my daughter, and so when people kept coming, they kept on coming to the woman's room, consoling her. But with me, it was different, and I couldn't mind at all. And nobody told me anything. No, Majuk, you need to cry. You need to be strong. Nobody told me anything. So it just shows how aloneness and being able to take the pain and, turning the pain into something that will make you strong really shows. Imagine if I would have cried, then it would really look bad on me. It would look bad on the family, because everybody's crying and people are losing their shit. At that time, I had to be resolute, and I had to really find solution. I had to direct people. The show had to go on at the end of the day without me crying. So who else is here? Who do we have? Charlie.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, I'm good, man. Yourself?
I'm good. Man, I really...
Do you think we should organize what do you call this thing? A slumber night between John between Tato Kiapile and Mr. Lankalin so that they can, have a crying party? Are you going to be a part of the crying party?
I can never cry. I can't support that nonsense.
Yeah, man, talk to us.
I think that is nonsense. And I really pity the society because the people we are expecting to take charge are the people who are now talking about the crying is natural. I think it's very sad. I'd say this. Children cry all the time. They cry when they're hungry. They cry when they wake up. And why do children cry? Children actually cry because they are helpless. And that is why we naturally cry. Because when you're a child, how you communicate, you cannot tell your mom you're hungry. You cannot tell your mom you want to sleep. That's the only way that you communicate. Women, it's understandable for them when they cry in their adulthood because women are just, in one way, they're just children. They're emotional creatures. But a man, not to say that emotions fade away, but for a man, we are socialized to be problem solvers. So if you're a problem solver and you're crying over a problem, it beats logic. You're supposed to be sat there and thinking, okay, this is the issue that is here. When I try crying, it won't help anything. And doesn't matter how many minutes I cry, 1 second, 10 minutes, as some guy was saying here, or if I cry alone or whatever. But this is a problem that I have right now. Why should I start crying over? Why should thinking about it and finding a solution to it? And I think it's really wrong what men out here are peddling. This is a very big lie that getting to our children is going to be detrimental. The next society will be in a very big shit because instead of people solving problems, they'll be sitting together and crying so that they release their emotions. And I understand some things have to happen, and I actually concur with the Gift when he says people have not been prepared to accept some things that happen. Because people die, people will die. And you have to know that just having people with you, it's a privilege in a certain way. So you don't need to sit back and cry just because someone has died. Crying will not bring them back, will not solve any problem. So why do you cry? What are these emotions? What are these things that you are feeling that you have to release them by crying? And why is it that you only have to release them by crying? Why not go and build something in anger? Say, I built this or I created something in anger because my mom died or my dad died, and release it from there. Something that is helpful to the society and to yourself. So I think crying is a very bad thing, and the society we are building, an emotional society, is a very dangerous place to be in. And I pity the next generation because the shootings and all this shit happens because of emotional men. And we keep saying here, the problem of the world is not even the women. The problem of the world is emotional weak men who feel like they need to express their emotions. Some express their emotions in crying, and when they can't cry, they go and lash out. And I think it's a big problem. So when a man says he needs to cry, I wonder, is he really a man, or we need to check again? Doesn't make sense.
So you spoke about your concern about the next generation and this generation, mass shootings and, weak men and so on. So what happens to society when we create room for men to be vulnerable? Yes, they do say that men should cry, it's a safe space, emotional intelligence. But in actual fact, what really happens when we create room for men to be vulnerable?
What happens, I think, what we do is we make men go away from responsibility, because the world is not about emotions. The world is about responsibility. So when shit happens, men are supposed to take responsibility, not cry about it. So when this shit is happening and people are encouraged to show their emotions, that's when men don't get that thing of when problems occur, we are not supposed to go and cry. We are supposed to find solutions to them. And not react to them emotionally, not cry, and crying is what leads to all these other things like mass shooting and all that shit. But if as a man you see a problem and see, okay, this is a problem, I'm not going to go get emotional over it, I'm going to find a way of solving it. Because these things have been there. Our fathers were not crying, our great-grandfathers were not crying, even when they lost their mothers and their closest people. Because they knew they had a responsibility to make sure that things are moving the way they are meant to move. But now we have feminized the world, we have feminized men, that crying is the first thing that you think of when you're faced with adversities. And I think that's a very weak mentality. And if men are operating from such a weak mentality, then it's a dangerous world we are building. Because now I remember men are also masculine and they are capable of bad, they are capable of evil. So when we have them acting emotionally, God knows what will happen.
Thank you, man. I respect that point when you say that it takes away responsibility from a man. And when the responsibility is taken away from the man, he becomes helpless. Okay, it's the easier way out. When a man cries, it's the easy way out. Because think about it, holding on is more painful than crying. I mean, because crying is the easy way out. Well, you are faced with a situation, you have to take responsibility. You have to break your back to ensure that at the end of the day, there's going to be a solution. That is not easy. And whatever man, takes that route, it is now that we graduate him into being a man, that, he didn't break down. He was stoic. He was a shield, and he saw the problem through. But when a man resorts to crying, it takes away the responsibility. Therefore, it's an easy way out. I mean, women are not, built to be resolute like men. Women are not built to be enduring like men. So whenever they have a situation, instead of thinking of a solution, the first thing that they would think about is to be emotional, and they are going to cry because it's the easy way out. But as for a man, you have to go through it. You have to go through it and ensure that at the end of the day, there's a solution. So thank you so much, Charlie, for that submission. G-Spot, you said that you have scientific facts for us.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let's hear. I hope you're not going to make us cry.
No, sir. Just found out that people who tend to have a high IQ also have a low EQ. EQ meaning emotional quotient, and vice versa. Like people who have a high emotional quotient tend to have a low IQ, intelligent quotient.
So what does that mean?
That means crying is only there to clean your eyes for things like dust and small insects. So if you take tears and do something else with it, you're just useless.
So crying is just there to make the eye moist, and it's not really beneficial, especially for me.
It's not even crying; it's cleaning your eyes. Yes.
So when is it okay for a man to cry?
It's never like when you're in dust or you're not even crying. You're cleaning your eyes.
Yeah. So the purpose of crying is basically cleaning the eyes. That's when it's okay for men to cry.
It's not crying. It's cleaning your eyes.
Absolute facts, man. Crying does not help men at all. Thank you for that scientific discovery. I hope the gents are going to use it. Andre Mutua.
Hey, Makduke.
How's it, bruh?
It's so good. How you guys doing?
We're good, man. Before you punch your submission, I like to celebrate you for opening your YouTube channel.
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, and thanks for bringing it up. So for everyone, we are now doing reactions to Kibe Spaces. So I'll be posting the next line of videos coming next week. I'm having my guest today actually is Brian Ngudi Jr. Ejuma. So the MVP will be accompanying me in those reactions that we'll be doing, which will be covering the topics that we've discussed this week. So that's a quick plug.
Thank you, man. It shows that beyond the listenings, this space is really helping us to kickstart. I mean, it's not easy kickstarting, so that's why I'd like to publicly celebrate you, and in the same breath appreciate the space and what Andrew is doing for the gents. At the end of the day, you have an initiative, and you decided to to take it through.
Yeah, and thanks a lot for the shout out and also for being my first guest. It was good, chopping up some of those topics with you and hearing your point of view. Thanks again for your support.
You're welcome, man. What do you have for us today?
Straight to this point, this aspect of feminization, it's actually been happening in a very subtle process. And you can see how men are accepting of some of these ideas, emotional type of things, that we should cry. It's okay for a man to cry. It's okay for a man to open up and be emotional. And I think it's really based on what the world has become. The world has become essentially too comfortable. We live in the most abundant of times. And if you're in a sort of peaceful country, you have all the basic creature comforts that are there. Life is easy to cost by. But as men, and the reality that we live in, pain, discomfort, challenge, struggle, challenges, all these are things that make up life. But to some degree, we've been sold and we've lived in this discomfort that we always have that sort of mental dissonance when, this kind of discomforts of death and others. And this is not to minimize how much they are, but our accepting of these discomforts or the reason why we sort of deny them, which leads to sort of that emotional outlet that we end up having and now behaving like women, is because deep within us, we don't understand that the reality that we have, part of it is based on that. It's based on pain. It's not always happiness and roses and daisies all through. So I feel, and I think one of the things is meant to realize that life is about struggle. Actually, in my own life, what I've been doing now, because when you tend to live with those kind of comforts, I think it's important to deliberately seek out points of pressure, points of pain, points of discomfort, be it in whatever sort of hobby or activity that you may engage in. We are told of late that violence has got no place. But violence, I think, is in and of itself is what makes a man. Life will always have wars. I know it's a hard reality for people to confront, but there's a reason why the strongest country in the world has to invest in military power, has to invest in strengthening its men to confront enemies that are bound to come. So this idea of us beginning to become feminized by accepting some of these ideas are just making us more weaker and weaker. So definitely, I think it's definitely something we have to reject. And as men, we need to take up the philosophy of stoicism, being strong, suppress any kind of weakness. that seeks to emerge in our lives. So that's one thing. And the other thing I wanted also to point out, listening to that story of that guy who shared of how, after losing his girlfriend, he cried for 3 days, and he was crying together with his nyanye, his grandmother. And he also mentioned that he was raised by his aunties. I mean, just think of what that upbringing of that guy has been, is really lived in a point where he was immersed in feminine energy. When his girlfriend, who was older than him, left, he went to cry together with his grandma. He didn't even look out for his buddies of friends to go seek some kind of consolation from them, but he went to his own grandma. So it's part of that feminine energy that is all around us that we definitely have to restrict and ensure. We spoke about it last week, and the impact that it has. We know of that concept of being betterization by 1,000 concession, and that's what happens when we are within of women all around us, and that's why I wanted now to bring up the point of men sort of creating their own clubs where if we have to throw shit at each other, it's a way to sort of make sure we are poking each other to bring out any shit that we have and, be confronted with the realities. Because as men, we speak the truth. As men, we tell each other the truth. We don't cover it up with some nice words. And so my submission is, as men, we need to create spaces. And I think this is also one of the spaces where you buddy around fellow men. So that's my submission.
Thank you. We did talk about feminization and this popular idea of it's a safe space for men. So do you think that notion is really safe for men, or it's creating these weak men that are, dangerous for our society?
Yes, it is. There's no safe space for men. The reason why you probably want to be in a group of men is, you are given that example of Ali. When he comes here, we bash at him. We don't tell him, oh, okay, Ali, we know where you're coming from. We don't sort of baby him. We tell him as it is. And that's part of the reason why being in a group of men, it builds you rather than weaken you. Because you're confronted with the truth, you're bashed, we'll throw shit at each other, and that's part of the growth. So it's not a safe space. It is definitely a space that you have to prove yourself, and you need to be challenged and to be presented with the reality.
Thank you, Andrew, man.
You're just given some good stories that make you feel good, but in actual sense, you're just running away from the reality you need to confront.
Thank you, man. And congratulations one more for your initiative.
Thank you, bro.
Asante sana. Karibu. Okay, guys, let's start to close it up. Wow, I can't believe that we spent hours and hours and hours talking about crying, toiling and arguing and sharing some strong points. And we've also had some classical stories about a man crying for 3 days because he lost an older woman. And he was crying to his nyanye about losing a nyanye. So, yeah, it's been amazing. I'm going to go to Hect before I go to my MVPs. Hect.
Okay, Magere, can you hear me?
Studio quality, man, clear.
Okay, yeah, okay. I once read a book by Chinua Achebe. I don't remember what the book was. But then he talked about, I think it was Chinua Achebe, a difference between crying and shedding tears. A person like Magere, do you know Raila Odinga?
Yeah, I do know Mr. Odinga.
Yeah, he sheds tears, not because he's sad, but because I think he has a problem with his eyes or something. But then this book was talking about 3 things that make a man. It was talking about blood, sweat, and tears. Not tears in the sense of actually crying,
Now, the other was saying the 3 things which you shed, apart from now urine and such stuff and saliva, blood, sweat, and tears, they must be reclaimed. For example, blood. When you shed blood in anything, you must reclaim it, not through war, but let's say you find you have an accident now, you become stronger through the accident, which you shed your blood. When you shed tears, it's because you're looking for something. For example, when you are doing work, you shed sweat. But now when you shed tears, for example, when you are from a war, then you have lost the war. You might shed some tears, not tears of sadness, but then tears of anger, not crying. But then those tears must be reclaimed. Anything which falls on the ground must come back and be reclaimed. And then let me give you an example. Someone was talking here about when you have adversity. For example, somebody dies or you feel something sad, you must release it. But then it's not a must release it through crying. Chris Rock, in one of his specials, he gave a joke about Mark Zuckerberg. He said Mark Zuckerberg was being bullied in school. So now some bully came and slapped his face with a book. Now Mark Zuckerberg decided to form Facebook. Not because now he had an option of crying, or now he decided to put his energy in something else. He formed Facebook, he became a billionaire. Actually, Chris Rock said Mark Zuckerberg formed Facebook to find more friends. When some people, when now it was not actually like he wanted to cry, but then that gives you a good analogy. When you have something, when you want to cry, you have an option of either crying or finding somewhere else to release that energy. You can go to the gym, release that anger through the gym. You can do so many things apart from just crying, because I don't think crying solves anything. Back when I was in high school, in 2017, I was in Alliance. There was a governor in Kenya who actually died. Now he was the governor of a place called Nyeri. Now his son was in Form 4 that time. He was doing the national exam when his father died. Now the next year, the mother came, now the wife of the governor, she came back to school to give us now something like a motivational speech. Now she was telling us the way she was telling her sons to cry. But then now, she was even telling us that it's okay to cry. But then, I think somebody has already said it before, people who tell men it's okay to cry, they're not actually men. They're mostly female. So when feminists see men becoming effeminate, they start rejoicing. When feminists see men becoming depressed, they start rejoicing. When feminists see men start crying, they tell other men it's okay to cry, so that men and women become the same. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man, for that powerful point. Let me mute your mic. Thank you, man, for that powerful point, that that's the difference between crying and shedding a tear. I can absolutely tell you that today I've shed a few tears, especially when Shoto Torodoki was telling his story. Man, I couldn't help shedding those tears. That story was hilarious. So thank you so much, man, for that submission. Tato, your hand has been up for quite a while. Are you going to slap me with the same hand?
Hey, what's up? What's up, MacDuke? I think my submission has totally been misconstrued, I mean, when I started, I actually mentioned the fact that a man is to lead. A man is to lead his family, etc. However, I did mention it is not okay for a man to simply cry over his girlfriend or to his aunts, etc. And I categorically mentioned the fact that there may be situations in your life. In my situation, it was death, where you'll shed a tear. Not at the funeral, you're taking a shower and you may, shed a tear. And I was saying, look, that can happen. You do that stuff on your own. You move on, you brush yourself off, and then you go conquer. That's it. And I just continue to say, gentlemen, let's just be honest with ourselves. Yes, we are conquerors. We are solution-driven as men, and we should continue to do so. However, I don't think, crying to your wife is a solution, or to your girlfriend, like the other brother was mentioning, or, I mean, that's not what men do. But every man goes through a challenge. You will have a situation that you'll be faced with. You have to find a way to deal with it. Deal with that on your own, conquer it. If you shed a tear, let it be so. Come out of it and go conquer the world. That's my submission, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Thank you, man. Have a great day. Tato says that don't cry to your woman because crying, it's a woman's privilege. It does not serve a man. He also said that we should not misconstrue him and misunderstand what he's saying. So thank you so much, Tato. I'm going to start with our. Let's go to our resident plate spinner, Mr. Wasike.
Yo, thank you, Mark Duke, and other friends. Allow me go back a little bit and talk about the issue I talked about, the spinning plates and the shit tests or competence tests women put on men. And I talked about the game, and people really came out, said that, Wasike, you are being dick driven. I take your allegation and I really take it and I appreciate it. But today I want to confirm to you guys that you are wrong and the shit test, you failed the shit test. How? These men who say men should cry have got that idea from their women. And that woman was doing something to you called shit test or competence test. And once she told you a man should cry and should cry to air out her or to relieve himself, the woman was trying to shit test you, and you fall into trap by saying agreeing. Now you come in front of men to defend it. Yet the other day you are saying Wasike is dick driven. Between me and you, who is dick driven and who failed in the shit test? The same men will come here and tell us vasectomy is good because the woman said vasectomy is good, forgetting that this woman will leave you and go get another man who has not castrated himself and fire kids with her and move on with life. So men, let's not just get to this space, but have a top view or top knowledge of the things people talk about here. Go deeper, understand the basis of everything. Most of the people here will understand that they usually take like a book, go at the back of the page, read what the book is all about, then come out say I'm red pill. What is being red pill? What is being blue pill? What is being black pill? So we need to understand all these concepts, not just having the little bit information, then you defend yourself that, okay, another issue is so you cannot stop time by stopping the watch. That's to say, you cannot cry to cover up the mess. The mess has happened. What do you do from there? There is where you differentiate between a man and the other people. A man becomes a man, or a man is a man when crisis arises. So by crying, meaning you tell yourself this problem is beyond me. No, you have to accept. Same way in the medical field, they usually tell doctors, you need to empathize with the patient, but not to sympathize with the patient, and that's life. Have empathy, but don't have sympathy, because if you sympathize with something, you'll not go ahead to push yourself. But if you empathize, you understand this thing has happened, but there's something ahead I need to conquer. You'll work on it. Thank you, guys. But remember, don't fall for this shit called a shit test or competence test. Women do it. They are pushing it. There's vasectomy. There's women empowerment. There's what we call the shit test in the house. Okay, try to clean for me these things. Do these women roles. It's shit test. Don't come here saying that I'm a man. Oh, you are being driven, yet you don't understand the terms. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, Wasike. Sometimes you become so profound that I bleed from my ears. It hurts my small brain. You become so profound and deep that I bleed from my ears. So thank you so much, Wasike, for that wonderful submission that you just gave. Our very own MVP, Mr. Brian Ngudi Juma. How's it, sir?
Thank you very much. I want to give in my closing first. I have to appreciate what you and the main host have done, giving us these opportunities. Mine is to give a response to two individuals. A gentleman called, I think, John W. pointed out about if you are talking about why men should not cry, then we should not also be displaying positive emotions like laughter. My answer to that is very simple. Even in celebration, celebrate in moderation. Celebrate in moderation, knowing that after one achievement, you need to do another. That is why during the YouTube sessions, Kibe has claimed that in the United States, it always in a state of being built. There's something somewhere being built somewhere. So there's no time for celebration. Celebrate a little and continue. So when it comes to positive emotion, we're also saying limit, celebrate in moderation. No crying, and when you celebrate a bit, there's work to do. There's a lady, I think a lady called Maria, was talking about if men are not to cry, why do we have tear glands for? I believe in the current vehicle technology, there's something called lane deviation. It is a warning system that tells you if you are driving, you are starting to move away from your lane. Also, I'm not a professional in aviation, but I'm interested in aviation. There's something called stall warning. It is a system that warns you when your plane is about to stall, or collision avoiding system that warns you that you are about to collide. The presence of a tear gland, especially when you feel those tears rising, that is a warning that for you as a man, weakness is encroaching on you, fight it back. So the current meaning of having those tear glands are to warn you that even in your strength, there's a possibility of you losing that strength and sliding into weakness. So the presence of the tear gland is a warning for you, is a reminder that slipping back into weakness is a very realistic thing. It can happen. Thank you so much and have a fantastic day.
Thank you so much, Brian. I really admire your enthusiasm and passion in technology and innovation. What I would love to see, especially from your account and Twitter, is to see you talking about that message, every day. You could actually become Kenya's technological beast. And that's me right there. K. Santino.
Yes,
K.
Mr.
Santino.
Joel. No, not George. McDude. George is not here. Can you hear me?
How's it, man? I can hear you, man.
Good,
but
good.
though it's not. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right. My submission for this time would be like, crying is something, our tears are meant for when we were boys. We were still learning, we're still growing up. And that's what the tears were. Then when we're growing, we pass puberty and we become men. That's when that crying stuff is supposed to be over. And the women will always be trying to look for a man to be in touch with the feminine side. It's always going to be there. But just because a woman wants you to be a man, I think what the other guy said is correct. Women will always put you through tests. Why don't you cry and everything? The second you cry, she's gone. And you don't know what the hell happened. She'll never tell you, I left you because you cried. Nope, she won't tell you that. She'll just disappear and run for the hills. And even her wig might fall off and she'll just leave it. Even one of the guys was saying something about women, cry because don't cry in front of people. Women are not crying in front of you because makeup just became too expensive. So what they do, they make the crying like an iPhone update. They just cry later. But the women are still crying. Women are still women. But and that's why you need to be a man. Stop crying, man up, take charge, take lead. I know things get harder. I know life is tough. People are always going to drop dead. People are always bad things will happen. But your job is the leader. You're the captain of this ship. Steer the ship and don't cry and increase the river around you. Thank you. That's my submission.
Thank you, Santino. He says, stop crying, take the lead. You are a man. You are not a woman. Stop crying. Charlie. Charlie.
Can you hear me? Yep.
Yes, man.
I also say crying is for babies. Crying is babies and women. Women are just grown-up babies. So if a man cries, it means you are helpless. And if men get helpless, then we are all in shit. So if you're a man and you feel like crying is the solution, it means you are not thinking, you are not involving your mind, you are not finding a solution. So if that is how you think as a man, then as a world we are in trouble. Thank you. That's my submission.
Thank you, Charlie. Gentlemen, this indeed has been a wonderful show, a wonderful open mic Fridays. We started Monday through down to Friday, and we've had dynamic conversations. And what I really, enjoy seeing and appreciating is when men, start to taking a stand on themselves. Is when you see the Andrew Mutuas, starting to take a stand and then creating something out of these spaces. When you see the McJukes, when you see the Nature Boys and the Bryans, starting to take initiative from the space, now it really means that we are working towards something. So with today's topic, crying, when a man cries, it takes away his power. You don't want to be in the middle of war and then you start shaking to a point where you lose your gun. You are definitely going to be killed. You are definitely going to be an easy target. Men who cry are easy targets to the atrocities of this world. So you don't want to find yourself being a crier. You want to be strong. You want to be stoic. And crying does not really help much in a man. So yes, life happens. You cannot change the economy. You cannot change the education system. You cannot change how the economy is doing right now, but you can change yourself. And changing yourself, it means that you have to be strong. You have to pursue your masculinity. You have to sit down and think of solutions instead of crying. Like I said, if you spend 10 minutes crying, you have wasted 10 minutes. So that 10 minutes that you should be, that you are crying with, what you should actually be doing is you should just sit down and get an early start to life. Come up with solutions. Life is not going to be easy. Life was never easy for men. We are going to toil. We are going to struggle. We are going to go through pain. We are going to get our heart broken. But crying won't take away any of these things. The only thing that crying is going to take away is the power we have to solve the solution. So at the end of the day, a man must rise up, a man must man up, and a man must take full responsibility of what happens to him. Because if it doesn't take full responsibility of what happens to him, we will live in a world that we are living today. What is going to happen to the next generation if men are crying, if men are weak, and if men are being feminized? So thank you so much, guys, for a wonderful Open Mic Fridays. I'm going to hand it back to the owner of the space back in American Studios.
Mark Duque. Thank you, Mark Duke, man. I really appreciate it. You have made it so easy today, man. Today has been so easy. I've just been sitting back and listening in as we discussed anything and everything, as always. Man, thank you very much, Mark Duke, for being a wonderful co-host. You make it very easy. Yeah, you make it very easy. I appreciate your time. And everybody who gave in a submission this week, thank you, man. It has been very interesting, including Duchess has come in today to tell us about how men should not cry. I remember when we were doing the circumcision thing, and my cousins would tell me, hey, listen, not a single sound should come from you when they're cutting the foreskin. Not a single sound. Through that whole procedure, not a single sound. Don't make a sound. Because if you make a sound, then it means there's some weakness in you that you have not dealt with. You need to overcome it. When boys would go, like I remember in class 5, when you are going to get caned by the teacher, you would tell the other boys, hey, listen, I'm going to get caned, but I won't scratch. But I'm going to get caned. So caning is going to happen. But how I will deal with it is that I won't scratch to show you guys that I can overcome the pain better than you. So if we were like 5 boys who are being caned and one boy started scratching, we would laugh at the boy who's scratching. Not that we're not feeling our own pain. We are feeling our pain, but we would laugh at the one who's unable to deal with the pain. That's a very manly thing to do. The playground doesn't fuck around. Why are we? The playground is where everything is sorted. Why are we moving away from that system of doing, of operating? Where it's all about merit. Crying has no value for the man. It has never had. It will never have. It has been a wonderful week, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you to everybody who jumped in here, who gave me your thoughts. We've done 4 hours and 30-something minutes. God damn it. Who knows, man? We just start and we keep going. I appreciate you. This has been a production of RogueRadio.live, Kenya's home of underground hits. And remember to join my Patreon as well, patreon.com/Kibe Andrew. And also, I will be on my YouTube channel at 10 p.m. East African time. I think that's it for this week. I will see you on Monday. Do enjoy yourself this weekend. Do something new. Go try something new. Try a new restaurant. Try something. Maybe do some, what do you call it? Jump on a jet ski if you have jet skis, or try skating. Do something new. Something new. Something that will come back with a story. Whether you like it or you don't like it, you'll tell us how bad it was or tell us how good it was. But try something new this weekend. Yes, this weekend I shall be going to listen to, or rather to watch UB40. I've never seen them, and I don't know what age has done to them, but I am going to watch UB40 live in concert. So Mark Duke, wherever you are, just feel the pain. I don't know whether you... Are they people you'd watch, Mark Duke?
Not at all.
So you're not feeling jealous about it?
Bro, this is a moment of envy and hate towards you.
No, you don't know UB40, do you?
I do know UB40. I mean, these are legends. I mean, who doesn't know UB40?
Don't make me play you a song, bro. Huh? Hey, I got you, babe. Wait, let me play for you a song here. Yeah. This. Can you hear it? You can't hear it for shit because it's not meant for you.
I can't hear it, bro.
Don't worry about it. Thank you, Mark Duke. See you guys on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Do what I wouldn't do. I will see you first thing Monday morning.